questions for you, just two. First one is, who thinks they'd love to bring their vehicle down and have a crack at that? There's always a few. Alright. Who thinks there's no way on God's green earth their vehicle, nor them, is ever going down that? Nowadays, I've been forward driving across the world for 35 years or so, and obstacles like what we've got here on Mt Maxxis, they're just fun. I enjoy driving them. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm anything special over anybody else in the audience here today. I'm just like you. The difference is, I've got some skills. So what I want to do today is give you a bunch of tips and tricks to help you get out there, four-wheel drive well, have a really positive off-road experience, getting to the campsite or destination of your choosing in a way that doesn't break your four-wheel drive and cause you those miseries of breaking down in the bush. So the first place we're going to start is over here. I'm going to do 3 drives up through here. Now, every time I tell the audience this, nobody seems to believe me, and I'm not sure why, but Mt Maxxis has been here for quite a few million years, and over the millennia, rain has fallen and washed in the perfect Instagrammer's gully. Now, I can see none of you will believe it either. Let's talk about the vehicle for a moment. So, when I was designing this show with the team, I said to them, guys, I don't want a monster truck. I don't want something that can drive this with no driver skill. I want a vehicle that's like what everybody's driving out there basically. So the first drive I want to give you is the sort of drive that we're going to see from someone who just wants to get up Mt Maxxis. They're not looking to do anything fancy, they just want to go up the mountain. So they're going to be looking to preserve their vehicle, and so they're going to come up the obstacle relatively slowly and look to climb the mountain. And at about this point here, they're probably going to get some wheel spin. Now what we see people do is just start to rev the engine and wheel spin more. Now sometimes that will work and get them up the obstacle, but it's not a neat and tidy way to operate the vehicle. Now the next drive, I call it the Instagram drive. This is all about content creation and getting something that looks good on footage, but it does not demonstrate vehicle or driver competence. What you do is you take your right foot here and you put that up against the firewall, and the drive looks pretty much like this. Okay, so I'm really glad actually that opposite Lockhart in this vehicle and not me, because I'll tell you what, I do not want to treat my four-wheel drive like that. It's a good way to break components and break my four-wheel drive. So let me show you the third drive. Now I call this follow the water. And the concept is when Mrs. Nomad has kindly painted that blue line down the middle of the mountain, that's where the water would flow. What I'm going to do is keep that as best I can under the centre of the vehicle. And as I climb the mountain, I'm going to have points where I actually lose traction. So then I'm going to find the traction and follow it as we climb up the mountain. So let's just roll in. We're going to go nice and slow. The blue line's under the middle of the car. At this point here, I'll follow it around to my left. Okay. And somewhere about here, we lose traction. As soon as I lose traction, left foot brake, I stop the wheel spin. What I'm going to do is go hard left hand down and see if I can find some traction over here. Nicely coming onto the power. Okay, I've got my traction. We continue to climb. Oops, I've lost my traction again. Okay, let's try going to the right and see if there's traction over there. Gently coming on the power, looking for traction. There's no traction. Stop the vehicle. Let's just roll back just a tiny bit, just that much. Let's go left hand down again and see if there's traction over there. Coming onto the power, and gently we're climbing up. Found the traction, now I'm following it. It's giving me traction. Right about here, I'm going to go right, and we climb the mountain. And that's a nice controlled way to get up Mt Maxxis without being on your four-wheel drive. I've developed a four-wheel drive online training course. If you're interested in getting some training, scan the QR code there or the ones around the stadium and you can check it out. If it works for you, go further. If not, that's fine. The other options you have is over here, we've got the Queensland 4-Wheel Drive Association and the 4-Wheel Drive Clubs, another excellent resource that can help you skill up and get out there off-road. Now, I've got to get the vehicle back down the mountain, and in my warped brain, the best way to do that is in reverse. And that's going to allow me to put the back tyres in the best spot so I can follow the water back down the mountain. Okay, we'll get down here and we'll line up for these rock steps. That as a driver, you can manipulate off-road. So the first thing is your traction. You see, at any given moment in time on the surface, these Maxxis Razor tyres have a defined amount of traction. Now, prior to your drive, you can manipulate that traction by letting some air out of the tyres, which increases the amount of contact patch the tyres have on the road. That increases traction. That is an advantage to you. The disadvantage is you can only do it when the vehicle's stopped. You can't do it whilst you're driving along. The second thing that as a driver you can manipulate is your momentum, and you can manipulate that on the move. You see, momentum is like this. That vehicle has mass, and when that mass is moving, it has stored energy, which as a driver, you can draw down on depending on the obstacle you're going across. So think of it like this, think of it as a battery that's getting charged, and the faster you go, the more energy it has. Now the disadvantage is this, and this is what I see people getting momentum wrong in two ways off-road. First way is they have too much momentum. And where that's a problem is when you hit a rock step or an obstacle like this, the tyre bounces and unloads, therefore you lose traction, and therefore you lose a bunch of momentum and you don't get through the obstacle. The second one is that they don't have enough momentum. So I'm going to do two drives for you now. The first drive is a traction-only drive. The second drive will be a momentum and traction drive. Now I'm just going to use traction to get up the steps. So my front wheels are climbing, my back wheels are pushing. As I feed power on, up we go. Nice and controlled, beautiful. Nothing wrong with that drive. If that was the obstacle you came across in the bush, that's a nice way to get through the obstacle. But watch what happens now. As we come up to the next set of rock steps, I'll stop. Now I'm just going to use traction to try and get up these rock steps. Watch what happens. We're wheel spinning. I've got no more traction. Now some drivers will just keep feeding the numbers and spinning the wheels faster, and they may actually be able to get up there. The disadvantage of that is you're really working your drive line hard, and that's to your detriment. That's where you're going to break CVs and start damaging your vehicle, because you're working it harder than you need to. But watch what happens now. I'm going to bring the momentum into it. So I'm just going to keep the vehicle moving through the whole obstacle, and watch what happens. As I get to the first set of rock steps, I'm just going to feed a little bit of power on, pop the front up, keep the vehicle moving. At this point, a little bit of power, pop the vehicle up. Nice and controlled, no beating on the vehicle. On right, and I've got full right hand down in my steering wheel. Now I may lose traction in this, and if I do, I'm just going to look for it again and see if we can find it. So right hand down, we're following it down into the gully. At this point, I'm going full left hand down. So in a very short distance, I've got hard right, hard left to follow the traction and get up and down. As you can see, we're crawling up nice and controlled. We've lost traction, so let's see if we can find it. There it is, crawling up. Now I'm going to the right, following the traction. There it is, and that's a nice easy way to get up Mt Maxxis. Let me get down the bottom here. Show of hands, those of you driving manual four-wheel drives. Okay, just a few of you. Show of hands for those of you driving an automatic four-wheel drive. A heap more. I personally really love driving my automatics off-road, and the reason is it gives me the level of control that you can see me demonstrating today. You can do the same thing in a manual 4 driving, even the left foot braking can be done, and it's a good skill to learn. Now, those of you driving the manual 4 drive probably get this next bit right, and that is, if you come to an obstacle like this, you're going to select low range and first gear, and you're going to go down a gunshot. You're going to be using the engine braking to hold and control the vehicle, and you'll cover the brake pedal. And that's exactly what you should be doing. And the reason is, when your tyres are rotating, you maintain traction. When you have traction, you have control. And everything off-road is about having control. Now, if you think about it like this, if you think about it like this, the ABS braking system in your vehicle, when you slam on the brakes, as soon as the tyres skid, the ABS braking system lets go of the wheels that are skidding so that the wheels can keep rotating, because it gives you the traction, which gives you the control, so you can steer in an emergency braking situation. Now, what I see going wrong here is that a lot of automatic vehicle drivers off-road leave it in drive. They don't actually engage the manual mode that pretty much all 4-wheel drives have nowadays. So what I'll do, I want to demonstrate the effect of this in the Ranger as we go down a gunshot. So every vehicle is going to be different as to how you get into manual mode. You may need to read your owner's manual to work it out. In this vehicle, it's pretty easy. 2 button pushes, and I'm now in first gear, low range, handbrake off, and over we go. Now I want you to watch what I do with my brake pedal, because that'll show you how much engine braking we're getting from the vehicle. I'm not even touching the brakes. The engine braking and the gearing is providing me the control to go down the climb. Now obviously off-road, if I wasn't doing a demonstration like this, I would be covering the brake pedal and assisting, but I'm letting the engine do it in this example. There's one back holes. Right about now, we're going to run out of traction. So right now I've got the front right and the back left tyre wheel spinning. I've got no more traction. You see, a 4-wheel drive is not actually a 4-wheel drive. What it is a vehicle that has the potential to drive all 4 wheels. But at any given moment in standard configuration, a 4-wheel drive actually only has 1 front wheel and 1 back wheel driving. You can see that right here. Okay? So, what a diff lock does, I'm going to turn it on now. It now connects the back 2 wheels together. So now we do have drive going to both back wheels. Watch what happens as I feed on a little bit of power. We're now crawling up the hill. That's the power of having a diff lock. So let's just cover off what we've learned so far this afternoon. We've learned about follow the water and finding and following the traction as you do a climb. We've learned about how to climb a rock step using our momentum and our traction. We've learned about our steering inputs and how to do them late and aggressively. We've learned about using the manual mode in our automatics, and we've learned about diff locks. So let's bring all of this together, and I want to show you what I believe a competent 4-wheel driver is going to do when they're off-road if they came to an obstacle like what's in front of me now. They're going to come in, they're going to carry a nice gentle momentum. At about this point, they wheel spin. Not a problem, they put their foot on the brake, they stop the wheel spinning, engage the diff lock, and then they very gently apply power and begin to climb up the climb. Again, it's nice and controlled. Now, because it's me driving, I reckon we should go hard right down into this gully. Now, I'm leaving the rear diff lock in. Why not? There's no shame in that. We get into this obstacle, full left hand down, steer up the gully, and the diff lock's helping me hold it, and now we're at the top of Mt Maxxis. Does anybody think, since it's the last show of the day, I should try and drive up gunshot? Yeah, everyone's like, yeah. See, the opposite lot, guys. they can repair the car overnight if I break it, hey? Everyone's like, yeah, that'd be cool, mate, let's do it. All right, so I'll whiz down around here, I'm gonna go down there, turn around there and then drive up. And if I get up successfully, I'll see if I can reverse back down without rolling it. All right, cool, I like you guys. You're egging me on. All right, let's do it, all right.
And as we climb, I'm going to feed power, and then at a certain point, I'm going to start backing off the power. Right, I'll let the rear diff lock off, and we'll see how that goes for us. Okay, so I'm rolling into the hill. At this point here, now I feed power, and back off power. That was surprisingly easy, wasn't it? And that's just a beautiful example of using traction and momentum. Oh no, now I'm scared. I want to go back up again. This is too scary. How cool is that, eh? Alright, let's get this done. Alright, I'll head up to the Maxxis stand. I hope you enjoyed that. Come and say g'day. I'm Mt Maxxis. Stay safe on the fire.